Hi everybody, it's Steven Tasler with Exit Realty, and this is Ask the Expert. Today we're here with Sherri Krueger of Krueger and Juelich, family law attorneys in Minnetonka, Minnesota. They practice family law in Minnesota, primarily in the 7-county metro area around Minneapolis and St. Paul. Now Sherri, divorce is something that people don't generally like to talk about, but in today's society it does happen quite often. And divorce does impact home ownership. Now, when a couple is getting divorced, is there the option where, generally what will happen is that one or the other of the spouse will get the property? Are there instances where they continue to own that home jointly, and what are the issues that arise if that's the case?
Yes, first of all, yes, a couple can continue to own real property together even after they're divorced. Although I typically will discourage that for a number of reasons. So for example, we can kind of dive into what are some of those potential problems or headaches that can arise when you have continued joint ownership after the divorce is final. First of all, you would have issues about who's going to pay for various expenses that arise, because the theory is at some point that property will be sold down the road, and at some point the proceeds from the sale will be divided between the parties in some preset proportion. That's part of the judgment and decree. But we hit a lot of bumps along the roads when things happen like storms and a tree smashes through the roof. It'd be really important to make sure that if this is an option for someone, that the judgment and decree articulates in detail the obligations and the rights associated with that. So you're going to want to make sure to have information about who has exclusive rights. If they're not exclusive rights to use and occupy that premise, then how are the rights to use and occupy that premise going to be allocated or shared or structured between the parties? We see this sometimes with lake cabins, things like that. It's almost like a custody schedule for the lake cabin. But really when it comes to the expenses, we have a lot more of the fighting taking place. So I gave that example of the tree falling through the roof. It might be very well that the judgment decree says both parties are going to pay for the uncovered, the amount the insurance doesn't cover, but really who is the person who has to sit in the home vacuuming up the glass, sit there with the wet vac and any of the costs associated with it? Who does it? How does that get paid? And sometimes it's hard to foresee every one of those issues to fully include those details in the judgment decree. But I think the key with this is that as much as you can possibly foresee be put into the judgment decree so that the disputes are settled before they rise.
So joint ownership after the dissolution of the marriage is a possibility. It generally is discouraged because of all of the other items and issues that can arise later on as a result of that.
Generally, and it's just the type of thing that needs to be made as a personal decision, weighing the benefits and the expense of doing something like this. But some of the reasons where we have done that will be if the house is literally underwater and nobody has enough money to bring to the table, a short sale won't be approved. Another example that I mentioned was when there's a recreational property. Perhaps it's the type of property that a family wants to pass down to their children, but for the time being, the parents are going to continue to own it and just set up some type of a schedule to share the use of that. In other instances, it's just about a temporary solution. Maybe the children are in high school and they want 2, maybe 3 more years of joint ownership and then sell it, divide the proceeds. Again, with the recent market being down, we've used this option more regularly than in the past, but it certainly is something that has to be thought through very carefully, and it really works best when 2 people are getting along well.
Excellent. As you see, there are a lot of complicated issues that are involved. You want to have somebody that has that expertise. So if you want to have more information, please give Sherri a call, give me a call. All of our information is listed in the comments below. We're more than happy to help in any way that we can. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.